Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest is in the tank. You know the folks in the tank, right? Spend all those months preparing videos with executive producers, all that dedication. Did they come out with deals? Well, I can tell you this, these guys did. And they did it right. They did a good job in there. And I went to their website today, and I want to tell you, and Heath, I am trying to get some, free product. The rubs, the seasoning, it's not just the sauce. We all know they got great sauce from barbecue sauce. We get it. And all different types. I mean, they got everything. But when you start digging into the seasonings and the rubs, that's really where, I can only cook one way. I can make eggs in the morning and I can cook on a grill. That's it. Nothing else. I have no other skill cooking. And man, would I like to get my hands on some of these rubs. He appeared, as I mentioned, on the ABC hit show Shark Tank Season 1, Episode 6. Now that's going back a ways, right? That's, I think, when they still came in elevators. Maybe not. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. They still did. Doors open.
An elevator, yeah.
That was a great ride on the elevator, except it was just the doors. He did it with his partner, Brett Thompson, I believe was his last name.
Yep, Brett.
And I'm really excited to welcome Heath Hall to What Would You Ask podcast. How are you, Heath?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. We're going to jump right in with the viewers and listeners' question. Stacy from Santa Monica, California. She wanted to know, Heath, how difficult was the audition process? How long did it last for you guys? And what was it like in the LA studios? So that's kind of a three-part.
Yeah. Well, I think our process was a lot different than folks going on in recent years and today. As you mentioned, we were on season 1 and they were just trying to get the show off the ground. And I'll never forget this. I was driving in Washington, D.C., down near the Washington Monument, and my business partner, Brett, gives me a call and says, we got some email from some guy claiming to work for Mark Burnett Productions who has some new show coming on and wants to talk to us. And, this is when Survivor was like the hottest TV show around, and so everyone knew Mark was. And I said, yeah, this is probably one of our buddies just pranking us, making a joke out of it. But we decided to reach out. So we reached out to the email, and sure enough, it was a guy from Mark Burnett Productions who had discovered us on social media. At the time, we were the largest followed barbecue brand on Twitter, and he had found us there and was kind of following us. And we like to do things a little bit unorthodox and have a lot of fun. And he thought, oh, maybe these guys would make some good TV and be a good business to air on the show. And so we called him back, and he said, hey, I need you to submit, a few things, but you only have like a week to do it because we're getting to the point where we're going to be picking who we're going to have on the show. So he emailed us over, I don't know, it must have been a 100-page document that we had to fill out. And then there was a requirement, I'll never forget, there was a piece of paper about the audition video. And it said, here's some suggestions. Sit in a chair, have someone sit across from you, ask your name, your business, where you're from. And Brett and I just don't do things that way. We're kind of nonconformists. And we looked at each other like, that's not us. That's boring. Let's make an impact. So we called a bunch of our buddies, senators and congressmen, Tucker Carlson, a couple big chefs, Carla Hall, you may know, from the Chew fame. And we got them to help us put a video together. And this was right at the height when, there was the financial crisis and businesses were being bailed out. So we kind of made this fake news clip about Pork Barrel Barbecue. Is this is this a legitimate company or just another DC bailout coming? And so we kind of had fun with it. And at one point, Mark Burnett told us that it was among his favorite audition videos he'd saw. So we went out there and on the line, didn't know if they would love it or if they'd say, well, these guys can't follow directions, so too bad. But so we had a lot of fun. You can see our audition video on our YouTube channel. We had a lot of fun with it. And so then we were out in Hollywood probably about 6 weeks later.
Wow.
In early July of 2009 filming. And that was a really cool experience. We had our own little Hollywood Stars trailer that we got to hang out in with our name on it, which, whoever would think that they would have that. And got to meet a number of the other entrepreneurs from season 1 that were out there filming, which was really cool, kind of learning about their products and businesses and making some good friendships. And then we got to go out and film the episode, which was, both exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. But and we didn't have the benefit of years of shows to know exactly what it was going to be like. But both Brett and I are lawyers, and we just kind of prepared as if we were going in front of a courtroom, and the Sharks were the judges, and we were trying to win a case for our client, and in this case, our client was our product.
Well, it's a couple things. One is I neglected to mention that Heath and Brett are Capitol Hill guys, right? They were lobbyists. What were you guys? I think you're something.
Yeah, we both worked on the Hill for U.S. senators, and then we both have lobbied. I also worked at a think tank. But yeah, our current status on that is we both do government affairs work and lobby for folks. I mean, so we're still doing our day job in addition to Pork Barrel.
Got it. You don't just call up Tucker Carlson and he starts doing videos for you. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff right there. So let's talk about the tank a little bit. So you get there, you guys mentioned you have a day job. So this isn't, you're in the business, your business. It's obvious when you presented that you knew your numbers and you knew the value of the product that you had and all of that stuff. But that's a different thing than getting involved in a TV production, right? That's kind of foreign to you. So you're standing in front of those doors, looking at each other going, here we go down Shark Tank Alley. And tell us a little bit about that feeling.
Yeah, well, I love it. Brett was more nervous than I was. I was just anxious and excited to get out there and have fun with it. I mean, who gets a chance to go and be on a primetime television show? And of course, at the time, we had no idea what kind of a hit it would be for ABC as it was just the first season being filmed. But I just was soaking up every minute of it. I can still remember that door opening and walking out there and seeing the Sharks for the first time and standing out there. And whenever I did legal work, I always made it a point to do eye contact with the judge, just to let the judge know, I'm here. I know you're the judge, but I'm not intimidated. I'm here to represent, the issue that I'm here to represent, and I'm going to do the best job I can. And so I went out there and did the same thing. I started to the left and worked my way to the right. And it was, I'll never forget, it was Kevin Harrington, who was just on the first season. Then it was Damon. Mm-hmm. Then it was Mr. Wonderful, who didn't have that name yet at the time. Then it was Barbara. And then it was Robert Herjavec. And I just looked at them one at a time until they looked away from me, almost let them know that, welcome to my house. I'm glad you're here. Let's talk type of thing. So
you guys get in there. By the way, this might be a season 1 reunion here from the podcast. So we had Tiffany on from Ava the Elephant.
Yeah, great. I love her. She's great.
Oh, she is a great person. I had another great guy on the show, Omar Solomon from College Hunks Hauling Junk as well from season 1. Matter of fact, both of those season 1, episode 1. So,
yes.
And they said the same thing you did, Heath. And then we're jumping back, but I want to get back to your addressing the Sharks. Because I want you guys sampled the food. I want to hear what they had to say. But before we do, it was interesting that they were saying the exact same thing you said, which was no research. You're a lawyer, you know what it's like to research things, and you want to know everything about each of those guys, but there's nothing to look at. Right now, you go in there and how many seasons later, and there's everything that Kevin's going to tell you that its evaluation better be on, and you guys had a little bit of a challenge with him and others about that. Mark's going to tell you it's a product and not a business, and Damon's going to tell you I can hire somebody for $500 to do that, from the hood and that kind of thing. And Barbara's
don't forget the royalty.
Yeah, that's right. And then Mr. One is going to do the royalty. So you can kind of get, where they come from, kind of the template of their bio. You didn't have that here, and that must have been challenging. And by the way, there is no Mark Cuban. There's Kevin Harrington in there. Right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So Brett and I, like I said, are lawyers, and we approached this like a trial. We had made little bitty portfolios on each of the characters, each of the Sharks. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of opportunity for us to dig into Kevin and Robert because they had been on Dragon's Den in Canada prior. So we watched every episode of Dragon's Den we could get our hands on. We did research. Barbara obviously had a lot of things out there with her successful real estate career that we were able to dig into. Kevin Harrington was the infomercial king, and so we were able to get that. And then, obviously, Damon John maybe had as much as anybody out there with FUBU and all the things that he had done. So we put together little dossiers about each of them and tried to get into their mind and understand them as best we could, as we might do if we were doing a voir dire, and picking a jury. But you're right, we didn't know, and in all fairness too, they hadn't developed their personalities on the show yet.
Right.
They were kind of figuring it out as we were figuring out too. Mr. Wonderful wasn't Mr. Wonderful yet. He hadn't decided that he was a lender instead of an investor like he is today, and things like that. So I think we had some advantages in the fact that they were just as green as we were. But there were obviously disadvantages because we didn't know their tendencies as well as someone today. It always amazes me when someone goes on today and they're not prepared for what is so obviously coming. But we're pretty big homework guys just from our backgrounds, and we did as much as we could.
Bill from Hartford, Connecticut wanted to know, were there key points of the presentation you felt were critical for the Sharks to understand?
Yeah, I think we wanted to relay to them that this business was not just a business to us, it was a part of us. It meant a lot to us. In the barbecue world is a really tight-knit family. And to me, barbecue is what's best about this country. It's a cuisine that's made from all different corners of the country, all different races and creeds and backgrounds. I can be at a barbecue competition, and on one side of me is a janitor who's making $15,000 a year cooking out of an old rusty 55-gallon drum. And on the other side of me can be a guy in $1 million Prevost motorhome cooking on a $15,000 custom rig who is a orthopedic surgeon. And all that gets thrown out. It's just three guys who are friends, who are cooking and doing what they love to do. And unlike any other sport, people cheer on their competitors. We all want to win, but we also want to see our friends do well. And I wanted to convey that spirit. If you walk into our restaurant in Alexandria, Virginia, the first thing you're going to see is a big wooden table that's made out of a solid piece of wood. It's called a live wood table. And it seats, 10, 12, 13 people. And we call it our community table because we want people to come in, no matter who they are, if they know each other or they don't, and be sitting there. And then, barbecue tends to make you talk. It's a slower food. It doesn't have instant gratification like some things. You have to want it. A slab of ribs takes 4 or 5 hours. A brisket takes 12, 15 hours. And we wanted to convey that this was important to us. We wanted to show the American dream still existed. If you had an idea, you could go out and grab it. We wanted to show that it was something for our family. And we wanted to show that although we were still very new in the business, that we had a passion for it. And I think all successful businesses start with an idea, but if you don't have a passion for that idea, they often don't succeed. And I think that, we were hoping to convey that because we didn't have insane numbers that we could show. We hadn't sold $1 million in product. We weren't in, Walmart and Target and, all these big chains at that point. We were still a very infant stage of our business. But we wanted to show that you're not necessarily buying the product or the brand. You're buying two guys that have proven success in other facets of life that frankly are much more challenging than running a business, and that we were going to succeed no matter what it took. And Barbara likes to say she invests in people, not in products. And I think that's, at the end of the day, what she invested in was us.
Ashley from Scottsdale, Arizona asks, was there a weak area of your business that you thought may be concerning during the Q&A with the Sharks?
Well, I think I just hit it. We were still in our infancy. A story, I don't know if I've shared this much or not, our barbecue sauce. So when we applied for the show, we only had our spice rub. We had one product. And about 2 to 3 weeks before the show aired, our filming of the show, we entered a contest. And at that contest, we entered a barbecue sauce that was named second best barbecue sauce in America. So in a 3-week time frame, we went from having no barbecue sauce to actually finding a manufacturer who manufactured it, put it into bottles, and we were able to bring the first few bottles with us to the show. That shows how infinitesimal we were at the time. So I think our biggest fear was they're going to think we're too small, which I think was what some of the folks, didn't go further with us because they didn't think we were a business yet, which honestly we weren't. We were an idea, and we were just starting to get some traction. So I think that was our biggest fear is, you guys are just hobbyists, not a business.
Did you go in there looking to sew up a deal with a certain shark? Did you have that in mind? Not then. You didn't really know, like we've talked about, the background. So you're just trying to get a deal, right?
Yeah, we didn't go in there thinking we want, X, Y, or Z. We were just, our two main goals were to have fun and not make a fool of ourselves.
Yeah, that would have been one of mine too. Don't fall down while you're walking in and try to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that you mentioned a minute ago about them tasting our food, and that was probably the scariest part for me because I'm the cook. I'm the guy who creates the recipes, and it was terrifying for me to think I'm going to be on national television with my food and have one of them spit it out or something like that. And I'll tell you a funny story. So the studio wouldn't let us bring a grill onto the studio because of the live fire. And so I didn't have an opportunity to cook fresh product there. So I had smoked some pork butts and we had frozen them and put them on dry ice and brought them out with us. And then I bought a George Foreman grill and literally got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning the day we were filming, and I cooked swordfish steak and I cooked some vegetables on it. I didn't know if any of the sharks, had a food allergy or if they maybe were vegetarians or pescatarians. And so I cooked all this stuff in our hotel room on a George Foreman grill, which I had always vowed in my life I would never own a George Foreman grill. And here I am on the biggest stage of my life when it comes to food, cooking for these, sharks on a George Foreman grill. So the food turned out pretty well. All of them enjoyed it. No one spit it out. Everyone had good compliments.
Yep.
But then after we left and went back to our hotel for the night, one of the producers met us outside and said, "You can't go into the hotel." I'm like, "Why?" "You've been kicked out of the hotel." I'm like, "Why have we been kicked out of the hotel?" And they're like, "Did you guys cook in your hotel room?"
Oh,
like,
no.
Yeah. Like, well, they don't allow cooking in the hotel room. And I guess they found your George Foreman grill and they smelled the cooking odor in the room. So they've kicked you out of the hotel. So we got kicked out of our hotel the day we filmed on Shark Tank.
Unbelievable. So you end up getting, you're right. Everybody liked it. They had real good compliments. And Kevin is one of the first ones to say, that he was very impressed with the flavor, that, you're making headway because he doesn't like to give compliments anywhere. So talk about, that you're right. They went out because, Damon, I believe, mentioned about, you guys are, politicians / hobbyists or something like that, he said, and he didn't like the part-time effect. Somebody didn't like the evaluation. When it got to Barbara, what was the feeling with Barbara? Did you feel that she had interest? Was she a champion of yours during this thing? Remember, we're seeing 7 minutes. Yeah. I don't know how long you were in there, but I'm sure
we were in there for about 40, 45 minutes. Yeah.
So did she start gravitating towards the business? Did you get a sense of that at all, or did she come out of left field?
She kind of hung back, wasn't super engaged in the early conversations, in the process as we were getting, questioned by the other sharks. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think she liked our ability to be on our feet. I don't know, you may recall Roger. I don't know why I said Roger. My brain now is just frozen. Like I said, she loved how we were able to think on our feet.
Yeah.
Robert.
Yeah.
He was talking to me about being a politician, and I said, I think I'll take that as a compliment. And I think she liked that and the ability to just kind of let like those attacks roll off our back. And then you may recall she indicated that she thought I looked like our mascot, our pig.
I did.
And to this day, she talks about how I handled that and how most people might have, taken that in a different direction than I did. But I just kind of rolled with it. And you know, so like I said, I think she wasn't buying Pork Barrel Barbecue at the time. I think she was buying Heath and Brett.
I agree.
That she saw us as two guys that she thought she could work with. She liked our work ethic. She liked our, abilities to think on the fly, and that, we could create the business, but it's harder to create the partners.
In the negotiations, she said that, she stepped up, but she also said she needs 50% of the company. Were you guys prepared? Did you have a number you set in the hotel before you got kicked out? Did you have a number that you said, we're not going over 35 or whatever it was?
No,
No?
not really. I think for us, it was, was it going to be the right partner, the right deal? We didn't go in, as I said, with a partner in mind because we didn't really know any of them. But, I think we felt a connection with Barbara. We liked her spunk. She's kind of off the wall like we are, and likes to think out of the box. I think some of the sharks are more in the box business minds, and some of them are more out of the box business minds. Sure. And I think that was an important piece of it for us. Like I said, we were still an infant business. So just getting the opportunity to be on the show, to have a partner with the kind of, background as Barbara, the connections, the insight, the experience was just in many ways more valuable than the money.
Talk to us about what she's done. I know you, obviously we've seen updates with you guys on them, and we've seen Barbara talk about it. I actually think I saw a video of you guys on one of her retreats. Maybe not, but I thought I did.
Did a retreat with her. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, we don't get to see a lot of, there used to be a couple shows that were after, and we do see updates about it, but what did she really bring to you guys? Was it distribution? Was it manufacturing? Was it strategy? What did she do for the business?
Well, I think the biggest thing was just business sense. She'd never been in a food business at the time. And the thing I was refreshing is that she didn't try to come in and act like, she, had founded Kellogg's or something like that and knew all about the food world. But there are so many basic principles that, no matter what business you're in are, you're able to use them, whether you're selling cars, selling barbecue sauce, building houses, selling swimsuits. And, just being able to utilize her skill set and her knowledge was important. Early on, she did a lot with us in attracting new businesses. I remember going to Seattle, Washington with her once to meet with Costco, which was really a pivotal meeting for us. Today, Costco remains our number one retail partner. We sell considerably more with them than just about anybody, although Amazon is creeping up on that. But having her name behind us, she got us a 4-page spread in Inc. magazine, which was pretty remarkable for a couple of guys like us to have a major business publication like that devote a key percentage of their pages to us was pretty awesome. So those kind of things, just advice, education, connections, and an ability and willingness to support us where we needed support. We didn't really need a lot of hand-holding as far as, the food side. We have pretty much handled that. Yeah. But, and then I'll tell you one of the other best things about it is Barbara has opened a communication channel amongst, you mentioned Tiffany with Ava the Elephant, who's another Barbara investment. And, we've been able to, through things like the retreats that you mentioned and emails, kind of develop a Barbara family, so to speak, within the Shark Tank community and bounce ideas or questions off of each other, which, oftentimes is as valuable as anything.
Yeah, that's awesome too. And I got Kim Nelson from Daisy Cakes coming
Yeah.
up soon. So, and Barbara's
I
got
hope she
great.
sends you a cake.
What's
Those
that?
are cake. You better ask her to send you a cake because those cakes are. Although maybe you don't want to get it because then you'll
Yeah.
be spending all your money ordering them.
I just, one thing about Barbara's team, and I mean you guys, is unbelievably. It's just you all say the same thing about each other, about the entire team. It's really nice to hear, and you can tell that Barbara's hands on because if she wasn't, you guys wouldn't have that unity that you have, and it's really interesting. I mean, and it's really cool to see too. By the way, let's go to the Shark Tank effect. So let's jump out a little bit. 3, 4, 5 months later, the show airs. What kind of impact on the website, on your orders, people calling you up? I'm sure you got investors calling you and wholesalers calling you. Tell us a little bit about what that's like.
Well, you don't have to go 3, 4 months out. You can go 3, 4 minutes out from the show airing. Our emails just started filling up. And I mentioned Costco a minute ago. One of the early emails we got was from a buyer at Costco whose wife was a business teacher at a high school and had assigned her students to watch the show. So he was watching it with her and he saw us and he thought, interesting product. Let me reach out to these guys. So I don't know if this still holds true, but we were told at the time that we were the fastest in the history of Costco from a brand that they'd never heard of to actually selling a unit in one of their stores. We were selling products at a road show at a Costco about 3 weeks after we aired.
Wow.
And that wouldn't have happened had it not been for Shark Tank. You go into these buyer meetings and, you have a broker maybe, and a lot of times the broker's like, all right, you're going to get like 10, 15 minutes max. And you get in there and you're 30 minutes into the meeting and you haven't even talked about your product because they're asking you about, tell me about Barbara, tell me about Kevin. What was this like? What was that like? And then you're kind of like, can we talk about barbecue sauce? And they're like, we're bringing it in. Don't worry. Now tell me about this. So, there were a lot. It's a great icebreaker. It's a great distinguishing characteristic, and trait for us. If a buyer's looking at 15 different barbecue sauces or rubs, and they like, obviously price and flavor is going to be high, but if there's 3 or 4 of them that are in a similar price range and they like the way they taste, how do they distinguish which one to bring in? And a lot of times I think the Shark Tank logo on our neckband or the notoriety of the show and people knowing who we were has helped carry us over into succeeding in getting some of these retail accounts that we have. And I have also talked to people. We do food demos and road shows, and people that have come up to us and say, I saw your product at this store and I bought it. I never tried it, but I bought it because I saw you on Shark Tank. So I think it's both help from a retail perspective from the buyers from these different stores, as well as the consumer that comes into the store.
You guys still air a lot too on CNBC. I mean, it's interesting. Some of the, I was talking to the Readerest guys, and he's like always on CNBC. And I try to, when I talked, I've interviewed now almost, we're probably in the 80s now with entrepreneurs from Shark Tank. And some of them don't air as much as others. You guys are on a lot. Do you still see a bump when you get on there or no?
Yeah, they used to send us, okay, you're going to be on Tuesday at 10 or Wednesday at 8, and they don't do that anymore. But I can always tell, because I'll wake up and we'll look at our online sales and, we'll see a spike because a lot of times, they air at like 11 o'clock at night or something like that. And so it's not a normal time when people are just, thinking I better go order some barbecue sauce.
That's right.
And so, it's pretty good guess that, we must have been on a rerun on CNBC.
Got it. Tell everybody, Heath, what's going on with Pork Barrel Barbecue today. How's the product evolved? By the way, I didn't mention earlier the jerky. I didn't even know you guys did that till I went on the website last night. And the assortment of them is pretty interesting. Yeah,
we've expanded our product line. We've done jerky. We've done popcorn, bacon-flavored popcorn. We've done pork rinds, which is our newest product.
Cool.
I'll give you an exclusive here. We are about to release kind of a new brand called Monumental Flavors, which is going to be a spice and herb company. So we'll be selling garlic or black pepper or chipotle
nice.
chili. And we're really excited about that. I think we're going to bring a really premium product to market at a very affordable price. We've had tremendous luck with our spice rub. We have an amazing partner that we work with on the spice products, manufacturer who has been with us since day one. Other than Brett, they're the oldest partners in Pork Barrel that have literally been there every step of the way. And so we're really excited to launch that maybe later this year, early 2021. COVID has slowed a little bit of things down in manufacturing capabilities and just kind of addressing we've got 3 restaurants that in the DC area, and obviously we've had to close them or to reduce the capacity and to only online and pick up deliveries. So a lot of challenges this year that everybody's facing. But we're really excited about some of the new products that we've got lined up for later this year, early next year.
That's awesome.
And then we're always trying to think about new stuff and new ways to expand. The jerky came about because we do a lot of traveling. We cook in a lot of competition, professional competition barbecue, and we were always looking for a good snack when we were on the road, and we were eating a lot of jerky. And we thought bacon, jerky, pork barrel, barbecue, that could be a good fit. And so we've had a lot of fun with that product.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Tell everybody where they can go. I know we can go to porkbarrelbbq.com. I know that. I was there myself. And we could certainly go to Costco and Amazon. That's pretty much it where we want to check out the product or what?
Yeah, Amazon is where we kind of direct people to at this point. It's got our full line of products. So some of our products, like for example, we have a vinegar barbecue sauce. Unless you're in specific geographic areas of the country, it's tough to find it because, a store in Missoula, Montana is probably looking at us like, why would we want a vinegar barbecue sauce? We want a tomato-based barbecue sauce. But if you're in the Carolinas, you can find it. Yes. So Amazon, you can find all our full product line. Of course, Amazon, has the best shipping rates around, which I know a lot of folks are interested in these days. And, with COVID, it's a safe and fast way to get the products to you. So we've really been building that business. Amazon, has been a really good partner with us, and excited to continue to build upon that and, just allow for our products to be accessible to everyone. But, we like to do a lot of stuff with local barbecue supply stores, hardware stores. We're in some specialty stores like Harry and David, Costco, Sam's Club, have been, I can't say enough about how awesome those two have been to work with over the years. But Amazon's the easiest way to get access to all of our products.
Heath, thank you very much for joining us today. It's really nice to hear about the journey. In your case, in Brett's case, it's been a successful one. Congratulations on all the success. We wish you guys the best. And thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Check us out at porkbarrelbbq.com on the web or on social media. It's at porkbarrelbbq. And, if you find yourself in DC, come visit us at the restaurant. And if COVID ever leaves us and you happen to be at a barbecue contest we're at, stop by and say, hey.
Sounds good. We'll be back with more What Would You Ask podcast in a second. Stay with us.